Okay, so yes, good morning, students. So now we will start our today's class, and this class is the continuation of the chapter like why, how do organisms reproduce? So first we will discuss or we will recall what we learned in our previous classes. In our previous class we learned about male reproductive system, we learned about female reproductive system, and we also learned about a process, that is the menstruation process that happened in the female reproductive system. Right? So yes, these three were the main topics that we discussed in our earlier class. In today's class also we have many different topics that you will find interesting. So now we will start our today's class. So our today's class will start with a question, and that is like you must have heard like from the people around you or from the adults around you that they pressurize certain people to get married sooner, the young adults to marry sooner. Yes or no? Have you like seen this or not seen this? Okay. So yes, like yes, you usually have seen this, and if you are having a bigger sister or bigger brother, like at the age of 25 or above plus 25, then it happens. Usually it happens, right? So now, yes, as you all have seen. So now, have you all ever heard about the sexually transmitted diseases? Like as here you can see the STDs or the sexually transmitted diseases. Okay. So yes, you have not heard about it. So yes, today we will study about some of the diseases that transmit through unsafe sex, or these diseases are known as the sexually transmitted diseases. So today we will study about such diseases, right? So yes, so yes, there is now a picture. So yes, how many types of diseases can you see in front of you in the slide? Like there is gonorrhea, chlamydia, trichomonas, HIV, hepatitis, herpes, syphilis, pain, then pain with urination, pain with sex, and discharge from genital. So yes, these are some of the sexually transmitted diseases. But now how will they happen, what are these, we will now see. Okay, so now I will explain you, so now you have to pay attention, right? So like yes, sometimes what happens is there can be pressure from our friends, from our like from our families for participating in many activities, whether we really like it or not, right? Okay, so there can be pressure from our families also to get married and start having children. There can be pressure from the government agencies to avoid having children. Like in China, you all must have heard like there's a two-child policy, right? So yes, but yes, from the government also. Then there are certain pressures from peers, from our families, from our government. Okay, so now making choices can become very difficult for us, right? So since the sexual act is a very intimate connection of the bodies, it is not surprising that many diseases can be sexually transmitted. As you saw, these many diseases can be sexually transmitted, right? So these include some bacterial infections also, such as gonorrhea and syphilis, and viral infections, such as the warts and the HIV and the AIDS, right? So these are some of the diseases. So these and the bacterial diseases are the gonorrhea and the syphilis. So this was all about how sexually transmitted diseases we can catch them, some general introduction about sexually transmitted diseases, right? So now, yes, and some virus and some diseases that we get from sexually transmitted disease that we get from the viruses are the warts and the HIV/AIDS, right? So now there is a question: when is World AIDS Day celebrated? You have to find the answer for this question from the internet, and then you have to write your answers in the chat box. I will be waiting for your answers, right? Now we will move on to our next question. Okay, so which among the following disease is not sexually transmitted? You have to write your answers in the chat box: syphilis, diarrhea, HIV, or gonorrhea, right? Okay, so now I will give you 5 seconds to write your answers in the chat. So now we will start with our next topic for today. Okay. So before starting our next topic, I have a question for you. Okay, so if a couple is there and they they don't want to get pregnant, but they still want to have the sexual activities, so what should they do? Do you have any suggestions? Okay, so no suggestions from your side. Yes. Okay, yes, they can use protection. Yes, they can use protection. So yes, yes, you all answered it correctly. They can use some protections, and these protections are the scientific term or that we use for these protections are, wait, we will change the slide, that is the contraceptive methods. There are different contraceptive methods or the protection methods through which we can use these methods for avoiding the unwanted pregnancies or avoiding the process of fertilization. So now, again, I have a question. So, as you all now know that these methods are known as the contraceptive methods, right? So, how many? So, do you think they are permanent or they are temporary? Okay. Yes. Yes. Very good. Okay. You must have heard some of these. Yes. Okay. So yes, the contraceptive methods are both. Some methods are temporary and some methods are permanent. So first, we will look for some methods that are temporary, right? So first, we will move on ahead. The barrier method is there. This barrier method is we create a temporary barrier between the male reproductive organ and the female reproductive organ so that the sperm and the egg they do not fuse. And what are these barrier methods? What are the different things that we can use or the different contraceptive measures we can take to achieve this barrier method is first are the condoms. You must have heard, every one of you must have heard till now this word, yes, condoms. So we can use this condoms like usually we have seen the males use them, but there are female condoms too. And these like they what happens in these condoms is if a male is wearing, so the male condom, what it will do is it will collect all the sperm into itself. The condom will collect into itself and it will not allow it to be released in the female reproductive organ, so that there is no fertilization. And same happens in the female condoms also. So this is the role that condom plays in the avoiding of the reproduction process. Okay, so this was one of the methods. Now coming to the second method, that is the oral pills. Now oral pills, you must have heard it many times. Like I have seen an ad that is like Saheli. Yes, it talks about a Saheli pills where these pills are also the contraceptive pills. You must have heard in different advertisements, in different campings also you must have heard, and in different like in today's serials and series also these things are used quite commonly to spread awareness for the sexually transmitted disease. They are used. So yes, these are some other oral pills, and these oral pills are the hormonal contraceptives, right? So yes, hormonal contraceptives are, they play a role in the hormonal disbalance in our body. Sometimes hormonal disbalance causes the avoiding of pregnancies, right? So this is the role that these oral pills they play in the process of in the process of not happening the reproduction. So this was all about the oral pill. Now coming to the property. Okay, so now property is also one of the temporary contraceptive method. And this property, how it helps in the contraception is, this property is a professional tool. It is only like transplanted into a female body. It is transplanted into a female body. Only doctors or certified nurses, they do this process. Not any general public or any general civilian, they don't do this. It is highly recommended that whenever you are using this contraceptive method, use it safely in the whenever there is a doctor near you or a nurse near you, right? So what they do is they insert it in the vaginal opening and it covers the oviduct so that the sperm does not enter or does not fuses with the egg cell. So this is how the property works. But there are some infections caused by this properties also. So it is, yes, it is one of the safe methods, but not that safe, right? So these were some of the temporary contraceptive methods that we just discussed. So now we will move on ahead, and there is a curiosity question now. Okay, so yes, someone will read it, then I will read it. Okay. So yes, what will happen if contraceptive methods are not adopted? Yes, for this you have to write your answers in the comment box, and then if you have any doubt regarding this whole concept we just read right now, you can ask it in the comment box and then we will discuss it later on, right? So now coming to the today's question for this topic is, the function of property is stop gastrulation, stop cleavage, check mutation, or stop the fertilization. So which among these is the function of property? For this question also you have to write your answers in the chat box. Okay, so now I will give you 5 seconds. Till then you have to write your answers in the chat box and then we will move on ahead. Okay, yes, I can see the right responses. Okay, so now we will move on ahead. So now we just discussed some of the barrier methods that can help in the contraception or the avoiding of pregnancies. Now we just read some of the temporary methods, and now we will read some of the permanent methods. And these methods are permanent, so they are really very effective for avoiding of pregnancies and like for the avoiding of pregnancies. The first method, like you must have, these methods are used very less because they are permanent, they are irreversible most of the times. So that's why they are used less. So the first method is, so you have to speak up the name. What is the first method? Permanent method. Yes, very good. Yes, it is the surgical method. Like through surgeries, there are certain surgeries done. And in these surgeries, there are two main surgeries. Okay. What are these two main surgeries? These surgeries are for both, for female also, for males also. So now, yes. So yes, what is the name of the first surgery that you see on your screen? Yes, yes, very good. It is vasectomy, right? Vasectomy is usually done in case of males. Yes, very good. And what happens in this case of males? What happens in vasectomy is, okay, as you can see in the diagram, what you can observe, what is happening. Okay, as you know, these are the vast differences. Yes. So what happens to this vast difference here? Okay, yes, they were cut, right? A certain portion of the vast difference is cut so that the sperm does not travel from the testicles to the vaginal opening. It does not travel out of the male body. So that's why this vasectomy is done. Yes, that's why it is a permanent process because we are just taking a portion out of the vast difference. So yes, that's why it is a permanent technique. So what was the first surgical method? Vasectomy. So now we will see the second method, surgical method, and the permanent contraceptive method. that is tubectomy. Tubectomy is usually in the females, right? The surgery is done in the females. So what is happening here? You can observe the picture. I will give you 5 seconds and then we will discuss what actually is happening. Okay, so now what happens in tubectomy is, here as you can see, we also cut a certain part of the fallopian tube and from both the fallopian tubes so that the egg is not released out of the female reproductive organ from the ovaries, so that the egg is not released and it does not get fertilized. So this is the main aim of tubectomy. So now are you clear with the different surgical methods that are used as the contraceptive methods? Yes, in case of male, which method is used? Vasectomy. Very good. And in case of females, what is used? It is tubectomy. Yes, very good. So now I think you all are clear with the concept. So now we will move on ahead, and there is a which question? Curiosity question. So what happens in female feticide, right? So for this, you have to look into the internet, you can watch a video, and then you can share your observations, right? In the chat box. And then we will move on ahead to our question for this topic today. So what is vasectomy and tubectomy? You have to explain it in detail, right? For this, I will give you 10 seconds and you have to answer in the chat box. Like what is happening and this what is vasectomy, what is tubectomy, and where it is happening and what is actually happening in it. So all the details you have to write in the chat box. So now your time starts. Okay, yes, I can see the right responses. Yes, very good. Okay, yes. So yes, so now we will move on to our recapitulation part. Today we discussed many sexually transmitted diseases like some are caused through viruses, some are caused through bacteria, unsafe sex. And these are some of the sexually transmitted diseases like AIDS, gonorrhea, syphilis, herpes. And these were the some of the sexually transmitted diseases. And also we read about some of the contraceptive methods. Contraceptive methods were of two main types. First was the temporary methods, and second was the permanent methods. In permanent methods, there were tubectomy and vasectomy, and in contraceptive methods, in temporary contraceptive methods, there were oral pills, there were condoms, and there was one more. What was it? It was copper T, the use of copper T. So yes, this was all about the recap. Okay, so now moving on to the homework part. So these are some of the questions, the 3 questions that you have to solve for today. Whatever we read today, these questions, it will summarize the whole chapter. So yes, thank you all of you, and we will meet in our next class with a new topic. Thank you and bye.